Hey guys, my name is Jade, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Polyend tracker, which is an 8-track music making device. It can sample, it has granular sampling, and it revolves around this workflow that is the tracker workflow, which goes up and down. So let me show you an empty pattern real quick just so you can see. Instead of going that way, it goes this way. So we have 8 tracks and we navigate through these tracks by using these buttons. It has a very computery-like feel, but not a DAW type feel, like very analog typey type feel. It's a very different way of making music than what you might be used to, but once you get used to the tracker workflow, it can be a lot of fun. This is how most video game music was made back in the day. There are other trackers out there already. There's one for Eurorack, there's a new smaller M8, but the Polyend tracker gives us this beautiful screen, and it's also like a very comfortable screen to look at compared to other screens. Like, it doesn't bother your eyes as much as other screens do, and it's a very button per function device. The screen isn't touchscreen and it's not battery powered, but we can power it with a USB brick, which is what I'm doing right now. Like I said, we can sample into it, so we have a line in as well as a mic in, and it comes with some awesome preloaded samples. So let's see what's on this thing before we make our own pattern. Pretty cool little beat. We can scroll through our tracks with these buttons like I showed you, so we can see all the tracks. And there's also a bunch of settings that let you choose if you want to see all 8 tracks on here or if you want them to go left to right instead of up and down. So you can change and customize the workflow to your liking. I'm just going to leave it classic like this because I get to see all the 4 lanes. So our first lane is our note. Our second lane is our instrument, then we have effects 1 and effects 2. These correspond to these right here, and like each color is the same one. If I go to a new pattern, let's go to a blank pattern, we can start placing notes. So if I'm an instrument, I can hear my instruments. And that's what's loaded on here right now. So we can load more samples. If we go to the sample loader, we can just scroll and press preview. These are the samples that are currently loaded into our pattern. So if we go over here to a blank spot and we use our navigation keys, we can pick some more. So let's see some instruments. We can preview it. We can go ahead and add that. I like that one. Let's add that one as well. And this area over here lets us know how much of our memory we've used up. This pattern was already pretty full. We have 21 instruments on here, so we can't add any more. It lets us know that, okay, now we're in the red. Now our project is at 100%. So to clear some memory, we can use the delete unused. This deletes all unused samples that we aren't using on any pattern. Now we have some space over here to add some more. So let's see what else we want to add. Let's see some synths. I like that one. Let's add it. I like this. I think it was this one. We have to make sure that we're not replacing a sample, so that's what I was going to do there. Let me go down over here, go to a blank spot, and there we go. I'm going to add that one. It was pretty similar. All right, so let's go back to our pattern. And now here we have our instruments. If we hold down the instrument button, we can select all of our instruments, but we can also do that using these pads. So the way that the pads work is when we're on instrument, it lets us select our instrument. When we're on note, it lets us select the pitch. So let's pick an instrument first. That one's good. So now I can go to note and play it by octaves. So we get highest to lowest octave, and then we can move through our notes this way. So there's two ways of recording. Right now when we're on green, nothing is happening. I can just preview. If I press record, now I can start placing notes in. And the way that it places notes is with this step jump. So you have to pay attention to this number. Right now, I'm on step jump number 4, meaning that if I press it, it's gonna skip every 4 notes. So this is perfect when you're making a kick drum, because if this were a kick drum, I can just press this 4 times, and now I have that every 4 bars. So this also worked pretty good for our melody, but I do want to shorten the length. So like I told you, this is very button per function, which is awesome. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So before you know it, you're going to be flying through this thing. So these buttons represent what's on the screen over here. So if I hold the length button, I can use the scroll knob to change it to whatever I want, or I can also use these buttons to set my length. So right now it's at 16th, that's what I wanted. So I can go ahead and make another pattern. That way we can kind of like jump back and forth between them so it doesn't get too monotonous. So what I'm going to do is go to pattern 73 and record this one. So I'm going to press record, but I want to make sure I'm on the first one. There we go, record. And I want to set it to 16. So now we should have Let's go ahead and make another pattern. We're gonna go to pattern 74, find another note. I like that, but I wasn't on the first one, so let me undo those. Awesome. All right, so let's go back to our first pattern and let's add our kick. We're gonna add our kick on our second track. We're gonna go back to instruments and find our kick. I kind of like this one, but maybe a little lower. It's more of a bass. Let me see if I can find another kickish sound. There we go. We also won that one on 4, so we just press record. Now I can just go and audition my sounds. So if I press record while my sequence is playing, it's gonna stop the grid and input those notes according to the step. But if I want to live record, this is what you do. You press record and then you press play. So observe. So as you can see, we can set more than one instrument per track. So since I didn't have a kick on the 3rd step, on the 7th step, it went ahead and added those to track 2. So that's pretty cool because essentially we can have a different instrument for every single step. But as you see down here, since I already had a kick there, it added that one to my 3rd track, which is fine. Let's go ahead and make a different drum pattern for our second pattern. And here I want to enter it a little bit differently. I think I want to do it every 8 steps. So we're going to set the step jump to number 8. Let's do it. Now it just gave me 2 kicks. I'm going to use my 3rd track to find a snare or a clap. Let's use this clap. Let's add a clap to this pattern. Maybe another kick. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and add something to our fourth track. I like that sound. Maybe in a different key. I can barely hear it, so we're gonna go to master, and this is where we can set our track volumes. If we press it more than once, we can scroll through the pages. We're on 2 out of 3, so there's 3 pages on this menu. So we have our master volume, and then we have each track volume. So we were on track 4. Let's turn that up a little bit. Go back to pattern. Make sure we're in the same key. Add that to our second pattern. And let's not forget about our third pattern. Let's see what we can do to that one. So now we have 3 awesome patterns. There's also a lot that we can do on this menu. So if we hold shift, we can get access to our mutes, but if we want even more control, we can head to the performance page. So here our 8 buttons act as our mute buttons. They also double as our solo buttons, and we also get performance effects for each individual track. So there's a few parameters to choose from per track, but we can also change what pattern we're on. So let's say, for example, I just want to change the pattern on track 1 and leave all the other ones to the same pattern. Let's see what happens. Let's try that with our drums. So a pretty cool way of getting different patterns and just creating a whole different groove just from what we already had. So let's take a look at these effects. These are per track, like I said. Let's single out a track so we can get a better feel of what's going on. So I don't really want to change the volume. I'm going to press record so I can start editing, and up and down to change the parameters. So let's do tuning because that one's always fun. Now I can go over here and use these buttons to set what I want the tune to do. So I hold my button, then I scroll my knob, plus 2 semitones. Let's do this one minus 3 semitones and this one up 4 semitones. Now I'm going to remove the record, press play. we also have a bunch of instrument parameters like low pass, high pass. We have them disabled right now. Delay and reverb. Overdrive. We can also use these buttons to scroll through our patterns. So that's pretty convenient. And what I've been doing is that I've been automatically switching the pattern without letting it get to the next bar. But we can have a smoother transition. To do that, instead of using the scroll knob, we're just gonna use the buttons. So my pattern is playing. Let go. Next pattern. So there are a lot of button combinations that unlock other ways of us to perform our track. So we looked at note, we've looked at instrument, and now let's check out these two effects. So we can add different effects to every single step. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm just gonna hold the effects button. I'm gonna do random note on this one. On this one, let's do random volume. Let's do swing on step number 9. And let's do a micro move on step 13. So now it's giving us a different note on that first step. So that's pretty cool. Let's try that for our kick and our hats. That should be interesting. So let's add another effect. So these two pages are identical. We can just have different effects, 2 effects at a time per track. Press effects. Let's do random note on our first kick. Let's do a roll on this hat. Micro move, change the tempo, micro tuning, volume. Let's try random instrument, random volume, and reverse sample. Let's see what that sounds like. Oh, it stopped on our tempo one because it was waiting for a tempo. So let's do a different one over here. Let's do micro tuning. Here we go. So that first note changing pitch is kind of weird. So let's go ahead and change that to something else. Let's do a micro move on that one. There we go. Let's add some more effects. Let's add effects to the second track. I'm going to use the second effect, and let's just go crazy. Let's just like add random effects. Let's add both effects columns, because why not? So that micro timing is definitely not letting us like do a smooth transition, but you get the idea of like how crazy this can get if you like get real technical about what it is that you're doing. As you saw, I was just like setting random values just to show you guys what this thing is capable of. So I showed you our instrument parameters. We have our perform page. This is the file button where we can save and load our projects. Configuration is like our settings button. Master controls our master volume as well as individual tracks. We have our sample loader, which is how we load our samples. Sample playback, that actually gives us a preview of the sample. We can choose if we want it to forward loop, backward loop, ping pong. We can slice it, beat slice, wavetable. We have our sample editor that lets us normalize, crop, reverse, do a bunch of cool stuff to our sample. And then we actually have the sample record button that we can use the line in or the mic in to record into. We have our song mode that I'm not really gonna get into because the way that I perform, I don't really use song mode. It's more just like switching back between patterns so I have more control. So it's not something I'm really gonna be using. There's lots of cool videos on this already, guys. Check out the one by Myler Melodies or Loop Pop. Those go more into depth into other things. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it was to make a track and how straightforward this device is. I really like the aesthetics of this device. This scroll knob is something definitely different compared to any other workflow that I have messed with. And also having the colors of the buttons match the screen, that's a cute little touch. Also, it really gives you, like I said, like old computer typey vibes, but not like DAW vibes. I don't feel like I'm moving a mouse and programming things. Like it really is a musical experience, even though at first it can be a little overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with all these numbers? But once you get used to it, like it really is a cool device to make music on. Makes me want to try other trackers. But for its form factor, its button per function, like its immediateness, I don't think there's anything else like this out there, especially in the tracker world. The screen is big and comfortable to look at. It gives us a really nice overview of everything that's happening. The way these buttons are set up here, like play, copy, paste, like there's so much that we can do, and it really does give it that old keyboard computer style vibe. So that's my video on the Polyend tracker. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this device. I think it's a pretty cool little device. The only thing I really wish that it had was a built-in battery, but I'm sure that would have added to the weight, and it's really such a lightweight device that, you know, it's a sacrifice that I guess you have to make. Because even some of those like portable devices, like for example the MPC Live, even though it has a built-in battery, it's massive. Like it's super big, it's super thick, it's super heavy. So like throwing that in a backpack is kind of nearly impossible. This is definitely a lot easier to like throw in a backpack with the power brick and some headphones and have that be like your go-to jamming than like some big device that is battery powered. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. This video was brought to you by DistroKid. Tidal's Artist Direct Payouts is a new source of revenue for artists. Each month that you're the most listened to artist of a Tidal Hi-Fi Plus subscriber, up to 10% of their monthly subscription fee goes directly to you. Once you've earned a balance of at least $50 from Tidal Hi-Fi Plus subscribers, Tidal will send the money to you via DistroKid. If you haven't signed up for DistroKid, use the code below and save 7%.